Can we make some noise for our amazing worship team? No. They deserve better than that. Can we make more noise for our amazing worship team? Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? How's everyone doing? You all may be seated. You may be seated. So we're going to be quick today, but we're going to just share and we're going to talk and we're going to get in the right spirit. Is that okay? Okay, so first of all, I must give honor and respect where honor and respect are due. Thanks to Pastor Tyler, Pastor Amber, Pastor Troy, Pastor Steph, and to Pastor Carson, just because Pastor Carson is my guy. But thank everyone for this opportunity. But what we're going to just really share with you guys really quick is a story. I'm originally from Alabama, for those of you who don't know. So I'm from Alabama, and I want to share a little bit about a guy from Alabama that you may not know. His name was Professor Booker T. Washington. Now, this is not just a story about him, but it's a story about each and every one of us, okay? So Booker T. Washington had just taken over Tuskegee Institute. He had become the head of Tuskegee Institute, which was kind of a big deal. So one day, after he was finishing his work at Tuskegee Institute, he was walking home, and he passed by a house of a wealthy family. Now, when he passed by this house, the lady of the house thought that he was one of the servant workers that her husband had hired. And so she comes out and she says, "Hey, you, would you come chop some wood?" Well, she didn't ask him. It was more, "Hey, you, come chop some wood." Now, Professor Washington, he looked, took off his coat, and went and chopped the wood. So right there, what I want us to see is that he had already done a full day's work. He had already done what he was supposed to do. He had already done what his profession was, and he was dressed as someone not working in the field, but someone who was doing what he was supposed to be doing. Now, when he took off this coat with no complaining, with no back talk, he took off the coat, laid it down, and chopped the wood. So I like to believe that when Professor Washington took off that coat, he took off pride, he took off entitlement, okay? He took off the position that I deserve, I'm supposed to. So I'm going to ask each of us today, are you willing to take off your coat of whatever it is? Because right here, right now, we might have someone coming in not seeing who you are or the position you hold. They just know they need something from you. And that's okay sometimes, because what they need from you might be something that they can't give themselves. It might be something that they've been looking for and they've asked someone else and the other people aren't willing. So when they came in and he took off his coat, he chopped the wood, he carried it into the house. And one of these servant girls from the kitchen, she recognized who Professor Washington was and immediately ran and told the lady of the house, "Excuse me, ma'am, do you know who that is you had chopped the wood?" She says, "No." And so she explains who it is. So the next morning, so Professor Washington chops the wood, leaves. The next morning, she comes to Professor Washington's office, and she comes to him and says, "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't know who you were to ask you to do such a menial task." Okay? Dr. Washington's response was, "It's quite all right. I love to work, and I really love doing favors for friends." How many of you love what you're going to be doing today? Right? Because if you love what you're going to do today, you should be excited to do it. But more than that, how many of you, every person that you serve with, alongside, or that you serve for, how many of you are going to look at them as if they're your friend? Right? How many of you are going to say, "No, it's okay, I will clean this up for you, I'll pick up this paper. Yes, I'll take your crying baby and cradle them because I love doing favors for a friend." Because believe it or not, anything that we do for someone here on earth is a favor that we're doing for our Father and our friend Christ. Okay? Now, it gets better. So I have a saying, I like to say, "But wait."
There's more.
Okay, so, come on. Okay, but wait. There is more. So what happened was the lady, she was so taken back by Professor Washington's response that she said, "There's something special about him." Have you all ever dealt with someone and said there's something special about him or her? Have you ever been said to there's something special about you because of the way that you act or the way you respond, because you don't respond out of the flesh. Okay? So she said there's something special about him. And what resulted was that the lady of the house and her husband, they ended up giving amazing and abundantly towards the Institute. So they just came and started giving charitable goods, charitable donations. And his one act of kindness or being submissive resulted in the largest donations that Tuskegee Institute had ever received. And it's not just because of her, but don't you know that if you do something good for someone, they might just go and tell their friends, they might just go and tell their family. So today, when you serve one, I would like to believe that that's going to be infectious and it's going to spread. And someone's going to say, you gotta come check out this place called Potential. They do it different because they have imperfect people who are willing to take off the coats of perfection and titles and put on the attitude of servitude. All right, so I want to, because we do have to put some word in here, right? Otherwise, they might take my pastor title away. Okay, so here we go. Matthew chapter 23. Verse 11 and 12. And I know we hear it all the time, but I want you to think of it now as, are you willing to take your coat off? The most important person among you will be your servant. Anyone who lifts himself up will be brought down, and anyone who is brought down will be lifted up. So I just want you all to think about that today. First of all, thank you all for the opportunity, for listening, for engaging with me. But I want you to just think about, are you willing to be brought down so that God can be lifted up? Or are you so self-centered that it's all about you? Because what I know, anything we do today, the house of God is not about us. We have one purpose. We have one great commission, and that's to make disciples out of the world. So everything we do is on the back of that. So if you all would you all please stand so we can pray really quickly? And I'm going to ask you to join hands with someone next to you. Because when we join hands,